Welcome back to another video. In today's episode I will do something that I have never done before, and we'll see how that goes. Well, sorry for the shaky cam. I always buy myself a second-hand camper and I always take it apart for my experiments. Well, today is the day when I will make myself a camper from spare parts. And in today's episode we will also have like a themed knife, so I will tell you everything about today's theme. Before we start, a camper is a pretty simple outdoorsman knife. It has 3 layers: a knife layer with a corkscrew, a saw layer, and the opener layer with an awl. Basically, if you couldn't visualize it, this is a camper. You see a big blade, small blade, a saw, a openers, corkscrew, and the awl. So this is our knife. Look at these tools. They are all in pretty bad condition, so I'll need to clean these guys up. I chose these white scales intentionally because we will need white scales for this project. So in the last episode we made a G10 liners. In this episode we will also make G10 liners. Maybe we will have a little bit more luck than last time with them. But something new in this episode will be that I will acid edge all of these tools and springs in the acid. So we will see how that goes. I have a pretty weak hydrochloric acid, so our tools and springs will not get too dark. They will become grayish, but I want that because of the theme of today's episode. I will tell you something about it now. This Metallica cover from the album And Justice for All is the inspiration for today's knife. Well, the color scheme is the inspiration. You see there is a lot of whites and some gray and some black, and there is this light green Metallica logo on it on the top. So I will make a knife in the color scheme of this fantastic album. This is the first Metallica album that I have ever heard in my life, and it remains the best piece of music that I have ever heard. So this is the inspiration for today's knife. So we will have white scales, gray tools and springs, and I will make 3 black liners and 1 light green liner. And you can see that this is a sponsored scale. I will polish this text off completely, and for some reason I always consider this as the top of the knife where the logo is, and this as the bottom. I don't know if that's correct, but that's how I visualize it. But on these sponsored scales you can see that the logo is on the opposite side, because the top is reserved for the company that paid for the knife. So in this episode I will consider this side as the top of the knife and this as the bottom. So I will have the first and the, oh my god, focus. I will have the top and the 2 bottom liners will be black, and just this second liner here will be green. So we will have top black, 2 bottom black, and this second will be green. It is important to totally clean all of your tools and springs before you start acid etching, because if your tools are greasy and oily, the acid will not work on that spot. So this part is boring but essential. This process of degreasing is so important that you have to wear latex gloves, and you have to wipe everything with acetone, otherwise known as nail polish. So this part is also very, very important before putting everything into the acid. Now all of our tools and springs are clean, and now we have to put the nail polish into the pivot points, because we don't want the acid to react into the pivot point, because our knife will not snap properly. Take a string and thread it through the pivot hole, but make sure that your string is some kind of synthetic material, maybe plastic, something that will not react with the acid. And then we will suspend this string on some kind of a stick or a chopstick and suspend everything in the glass with the acid. It would be ideal to put one by one tool into the acid, but this acid is very weak and I have to suspend the tools in the acid for 20 minutes. So if we want to go one by one tool, that would be a lot of time, and ain't nobody got time for that. So all of these tools were suspended in the acid for 20 minutes, and now I will take them out and basically clean everything in soapy water. This is the result of our acid edging. I am satisfied with the gray color, but it looks kind of dull and lifeless. So I have decided that I will also in this episode do something that I have wanted to reserve for the next episode, but I will stone wash these tools to make them look kind of better. Pretty simple process. Just put stones, maybe 1/4 of the volume, into a plastic container. Put your tool into the container, put a lid on it, and shake it. This is the results after 20 minutes of stone washing. You can see some interesting patterns. It looks kind of better. And now let's compare knife blades, the regular and acid edged and stone washed. These sheets of G10 are just not long enough to accommodate 2 liners in a row, so I have to cut them diagonally. First make some rough cuts, and then we will make holes for the pins. And now hold together the original liner and the G10 and make a first hole. These outer holes are 2.5 millimeters in diameter. You need to have a drill stand for this process. This first hole is arbitrary. You can make it anywhere you want, but just make sure you have room, and put the pin in the first hole so that it doesn't move. And now it is essential to make everything precise. This hole is also 2.5 millimeter. And now it's time for the green liner, also 2.5 millimeters. This hole is arbitrary. You just have to have enough room for other holes. And now put a pin in the first hole. You can see the pin. And now make a second hole. And you don't want your liner to move, because otherwise your liner will not be aligned correctly. And now the inner pins, these are 2.2 millimeters in diameter. Make sure that you put the pins in your existing holes. It is crucial for your holes to be drilled in the exact same place. Otherwise, like I said, your liner will be misaligned. And also your holes will be a little bit tight. There will be a burr on the exit hole. You can take a small pointy file and remove the burr, but do not, I repeat, do not make the hole too wide. Otherwise your tools will not snap properly. Keep the pins in the holes of both liners. Put both liners in a vise, and then use your Dremel with the sander attachment and just sand the G10 and use the original liner as your guide. Make sure to use some kind of breathing protection, because you don't want to breathe the G10 particles. And if you can do this outside, I couldn't do it outside, but this place is very well ventilated, and so the G10 particles are blowing away. You have to be patient, don't press too hard. Little by little you will do it. Just don't rush it. Don't make too much pressure on the G10. When you do the one side, just tilt everything on its side and do the other sides. Very simple. Just do it slowly, no pressure, no excessive force, little by little. And now it's time for the green liner. Same exact process, just grind away. And make sure not to do everything in one go. Go in some kind of layers, you know. First we had a rough cut of the liners, and now is the rough sanding of the liners, and you will do the fine details with the sandpaper and with a metal file. Don't do everything in one go. It is much better to work in steps. So the liners are completed. I did the detail work by hand with a sandpaper. And if you have some tight corners, like on the top liner, the black one, you can see the tight corner for the corkscrew. Do that with a pointy file. Just take your time and go slow. And now all we have to do is assemble the knife together. You can see the detail assembly on my previous episodes. And we have to pin the knife shut. I did it correctly this time. I didn't record it because I was concentrated on the work, but I will tell you how to do it after the money shot. So yeah guys, this is our finished knife. It's a camper. It's a great little knife and I am quite satisfied with it. All of the tools snap and you can see this color scheme and I quite like it. This white, gray, black and light green, and all of the tools snap. I will show you all of the snaps. And all tools were acid edged and stone washed. I forgot to tell you that this saw was not stone washed for 20 minutes, only a couple of minutes, because if you stone wash it too long it will dull out, and now it's still pretty sharp. And the small blade. In the next episode I plan to acid edge them much darker. And after you stone wash your tools, they will be quite dull and you have to resharpen them. And the big blade also snaps. So I am quite satisfied with it. I am completely satisfied with it. And I have to tell you something about the pinning, some kind of a tip. Basically you want your outer pins to be more tight than the middle ones, especially the one with the bushing, not the one that holds the back tools together. Because if that middle pin is too tight, your big blade and small blade will collide and you will have a nasty mark somewhere here, and you can see they don't collide. So yeah, basically go slow and pin these two tighter than the middle one, and it won't show on the video, but if you look at your factory knives, they are a little bit wider in the middle, so that's what you want to do. Basically you want your knife to look like a slightly like a number 0 and not like a number 8, if you know what I mean. So let that be your guide. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.